All right, we're ready to rock. All right, thanks everybody for checking this episode out. As you know, we're always talking to high quality people here, and today I'm talking to a good friend of mine, a high quality brown belt, a high quality person, Brad Sullivan. Brad, why don't you tell the people a little bit about where you're from, kind of where you grew up, and a little bit about yourself.
Okay, that's a big question, or that's a big statement that I have to give there, because a little bit about myself, man. I guess honestly, right now, but what do you say? Where do you start? Right, like, to say that I'm an insurance agent and a father now just doesn't do justice to how I think that things should even be looked at. Right, like for me personally, like, who I am as a person has a lot to do with jiu-jitsu, and not just specifically because I'm on this show, because excuse me, some people that might come on here might be like, hey, they never stop doing jiu-jitsu. They are hardcore jiu-jitsu all the time. And not to say that that's not true with me, but I have had brief absences where jiu-jitsu wasn't in my life, and it's something that I craved. So, but what I mean by, to say like who I am goes along with jiu-jitsu is because my journey as a real adult started when I was 23, released from a maximum security prison, and I got into jiu-jitsu just by, whatever, the universe or something, whatever, just kind of pulling me in there, whatever you believe in. And that has dramatically changed who I am. And it's been something that has been there for me to lean on. Sorry, I got a little something in my throat. And it's been something that's been able to help me grow as a person. So I guess to kind of go back to that there, like, yeah, I'm 36-year-old guy, I guess, insurance agent, jiu-jitsu brown belt, but there's a big, I guess it goes pretty big when you actually say like, hey, who is this person? Tell me a little bit about yourself. Right. So,
Totally.
I went to school. Go ahead.
Let's talk about a little bit, kind of, I mean, you briefly describe your life there, but talk about a little bit the time when you got started in jiu-jitsu. A lot of people, I think, described like those first couple classes, kind of like getting shell shock, not really what they expected.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about like your expectations for those first few classes and how it went.
Well, I think you put up a meme the other day that really kind of gave a little bit of light and context to what jiu-jitsu really is. It was that big jack dude when you're like, hey man, I got smashed at jiu-jitsu the other day, and everybody's like thinking it's just like this big monster, and what it really is just some yeah, it's you. Literally, that guy actually almost looks like you. I forget, I don't know his name. I know he's, what's his name?
His name's Mikey Musumeci. He's a light featherweight world champion.
Guy's a stud, and I've watched like a lot of his stuff. I just don't know his name, but that is exactly the first few classes. And you know what, like, as an athletic dude, I was always very athletic. If I was going to do something, I was always very good at that. Then you go to jiu-jitsu, not to say that you can't grow quick if you're athletic or if you're strong or whatever, but you are humbled, to say the least, because you get choked, you get slapped, you don't even know what's going on. Right? It's just like a total misdirection, eh?
Yeah, totally. Like, even just like you said, I feel like, I mean, most guys, especially if you're athletic and in shape, you think you can kind of handle yourself, and I mean, it varies, of course, but I've definitely seen a lot of it, and definitely experienced it myself, where it's just like, holy, like, you're kind of shell shocked in that, like, you're thinking basically this guy or this girl shouldn't be able to beat me and manhandle me the way that they just did. And for guys like us, I think it's more like the people that you see quit are kind of frustrated and kind of beat themselves up, and they're just like mad about it. But I think for guys like us, we're more, excuse me, we're more just kind of curious and like, wow, like I want to learn that and I want to be able to do that to someone. Is that what you felt?
Well, and so think about this, like there's a reason why some people, when they get put down, either emotionally or physically, they stay down. And there's innately something inside of other people, like myself, like yourself. It doesn't matter your athleticism. It doesn't matter your build. It doesn't matter anything about that, but it's programmed inside of you that you're going to get back up. And I think that has a lot to do with it, especially when you can tap out and restart, because I'm going to get back up and now I have to figure this out because this is a puzzle. I'm inside of a prism here with some guy, this little wimp who's beating the shit out of me. And I don't know what to do about it. Right. So it's such a crazy perspective there to have. Right. So, but now it's so cool to watch. And as you know, like yourself, I'm getting into the coaching side of things now too. So you get to see that over and over again. Right.
Yeah. It's awesome to watch, to be able to give people those skills and that type of confidence. So yeah, that's amazing. And like you mentioned, like you're a brown belt and you're a very high level brown belt. Like we've rolled together a number of times and our roles are always battles. We're always neck and neck. It's awesome. And like you said, and I think it's good to get perspective on this because like life happens, right? And you've said you've had periods where you haven't been able to get on the mats every single day, or, talk a little bit about that, because I feel like some people can kind of get defeated where they're like, oh, well, if I can't train every week, or if I can't get on the mats every day, then like, what's the point? You know what I mean? But talk a little bit about, like you may be able to take a break, but you can still get back at it.
100%, right? Like you don't have to look at that. Like, look at it like this, you're going to get better incrementally. If you don't go, that's okay. It's just when you come back, the people that you were beating, they might now be beating you.
Yeah.
That's okay. And that's the part of like the humbling. You have to respect that. They put their time in. Well, you took a little bit of time off, but that doesn't matter. You come back and you get back to it. And the thing is, it's not, and I might have segued a little bit from this, but it's not just about what your body can physically do on the mats. That is not the essence, at least how this has evolved for me. That is not the only thing that I feel like jiu-jitsu is. And what I mean by when I say that, like when you come back and you keep on leveling up as you go from a white belt to a blue belt to a purple belt, it's almost like people doing the Wim Hof and taking in cold exposure. You can deal with higher levels of frustration and like you can unscramble puzzles and things like that. So there's also this mental side to it. So if you're not able to get in and you have to take, oh man, hey, you got to put food on the table. That's the one thing that you have to understand. If you can't get in and you can't be there for a month, a year, 2 years, it doesn't matter. When you do get back, it'll still be the same. You can get back to it, right? But it's what it does for your mind, body, and soul all together. And that's why the essence of the martial arts, like I always thought it was total bullshit, but I think I'll probably actually get a little bit emotional when I do get handed my black belt, because that'll be, for me, the total shift of this guy who was, just a street guy, just, quote unquote, a little thug, went to prison, got out, and was a frustrated white belt and got all the way up. And my mental capacity changed with the same capacity my body was able to move with the moves, if that makes sense, all the way to getting my black belt. That makes me feel like it'll be that moment where I'm like, I've completely changed who I used to be. Right. And I might have segued a little bit, but that's how I feel about the whole thing, right?
No, totally. And I think that's great. And like, to me, you're a very, that's an incredibly motivational story, and you're a very motivational person. And, you know, you're paying that back now. Like you said, you're getting into coaching.
Yeah.
And I feel like I get a lot of that from jiu-jitsu too, where I feel like this sense of like gratitude, and like, you feel like you want to pay it forward and like, you know, pay it back to like the people who were good to you. Do you feel like you got that from jiu-jitsu?
I do actually, because like that comes with, like you said, like, you know, I think being humble and being grateful, it kind of walk that similar path, right? So once you start getting humbled, then, you know, as I was saying, your mind completely changes when, and it might not just be jujitsu, just martial arts. You're getting beat up by somebody and getting better and just constantly getting better. But I feel like as you continue to progress in it, yeah, man, you are very grateful. And that confidence that you have is also something that helps you be grateful, because you don't have to be scared anymore. I might not fight back if somebody wants to try and hurt me or someone hits me. I don't care. But I know that I can protect myself at any time. And if I want to turn it on, sure. But I don't need to, and I don't actually want to. There's nothing in me that does that. So yes, being grateful and jujitsu definitely completely go hand in hand, in my opinion. Right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I like what you said a lot about the humbleness of jujitsu. And to me, the humbleness of jiu-jitsu just comes from tapping out all the time, right? When you're getting started, especially those first few months, first few years, for a lot of people, for me especially, like you're just getting tapped out over and over and over again. And now I feel like I find myself in other aspects of my life, like even say my business now, like with this gym and different things that I try to do. Like I feel like I'm almost using the principles again of like, okay, you know, I'm a white belt at this. I haven't done this before. You know, I got to, you know, be kind to myself. I can't expect to nail this out of the park every single like thing that I do. And I just, excuse me, got to, you know, get the feedback, go back to the drawing board and just kind of go back at it again. And that's just what you do in jiu-jitsu. Do you feel like you apply that kind of to other areas of your life? I know you do. But.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. And I think that Mark Cuban says it the best, and that applies to this there, and applies to what you're saying. Like, you got to give yourself a little bit of grace. And if you try to, let's just take this concept. If you try to knock it out of the park and go as big as you can right away, that is the biggest reason why a business fails. So if your business is based around jiu-jitsu, well, then what happens? You then take that concept, you tried to make something go too big, too quick, you failed. And now what? You probably have a little bit of a sour taste towards doing jiu-jitsu, something that made you so grateful. So if you can take that concept and just say, you know what, let's let this grow organically as a business. Let's let this grow organically with the knowledge I'm able to physically do now that I have to use my brain and teach people, which is a totally different beast, which we should talk about, and just go at it that way. I think that's a much better way to look at it. Because, hey, if you do something and it just goes fucking out of the park right off the rip, you don't really appreciate it. You got to work hard for things. It's growth. That's why jiu-jitsu, you get the shit beat out of you and you appreciate it because it's so fucking hard and it's growth.
You don't get to tap out the black belt your first day. You know, that takes years and sometimes decades, you know, to be able to do stuff. So yeah, I feel like, you get that gratefulness and you appreciate the value of hard work and consistency. And it just builds so many great principles. So yeah, let's get into, talking about coaching now too. I'm hardcore into it, as you know, like I'm 6 days a week, multiple classes. And I've been coaching, doing it for many years now, at least probably over 5 years that I've been I consider myself more of like a full-time coach. And I know it's something that you're getting more into. And talk about, I know one thing you're very interested in is kids. And I know you talked about kids and bullying, and you like to develop programs from that. Talk about that.
So firstly, I will say that Coaching is very tough because it comes back to what we said about being athletic. Because if you are somebody that is athletic, you can just do things sometimes. But now you have to think about the questions that you've never had to solve before. So now this is a totally new layer. So somebody comes to you and says, well, Josh, and I will tell you, I'll give you respect. Like I really look up to you for how good of a coach you are. And I look to grab and obtain knowledge from your stuff. And I've watched some of your things there to go and teach in a class that I've done already. But if you look at the things that people will ask you, I would say so far, there's probably 60 to 70% that I've never had to figure out. Right. So you come to this whole new level of whatever it is, and you're like, you just kind of like, and now I think back to when I was watching other people coach and they didn't answer the question. They were almost like a politician. They went and did the move again because they had to redo it. And you know what, you've probably done that yourself. And because you have to think about this and you get this question from this brand new person who you need to understand so that they can stick with jujitsu and make it part of their life. And, they can feel, you don't want them to feel dumb on their first day, a couple days. And you're like, okay, hold on. So you just run through it. But before I segue too much, yes. I live in Truro, Nova Scotia. It sounds weird to say Truro, Truro for anybody that's not in Nova Scotia. And where I live from Truro to Amherst is called the Highway of Tears. And I did not know this until I moved up here. Now, there is kids that go missing around here more than you would think, right? There's a lot of kids that go missing from the Native community up in Millbrook, which I plan on going and talking to some of the band leaders here. Eventually, I had reached out to a couple people in the Native community that I know that are influencers there that are going to steer me in the right direction. So I really want to make sure and develop, and this is more important to me than say sport jujitsu, which will come. Okay. The essence of what this is to make sure that a kid is never going to beat an adult. Let's just put that out there. I don't care what anybody's got to say about it, right? I've watched some pretty tough kids. They're not going to win against an adult, but what will they do? They'll be able to get away. They'll be able to squirm and wiggle, and they can buy themselves time because
survive. They're going to survive.
They can survive. And that is what it's about. It's about the self-defense of what this is going to provide. And it comes back to the confidence again. This kid that might have gotten taken by some people, and I don't know what, this might get me in trouble with some, because, hey, some of those people are probably pretty bad people that are doing this stuff. But I'm willing to put myself out there and say that I want to go against that and help these kids have a fighting chance. Because when I had my two kids, it totally changed me. And it just, a switch went off in my mind. And, I don't think that I fully became a dad until I went through some trauma with my kids. And once I did, I realized that, like, there's a pain inside of you that sometimes you don't even know that you can feel. And if this pain is something that's happening to these parents because there's people out there that are taking them, well, I want to be someone within this community that those parents can look at and know that I am out there, not for the sport jujitsu, not just for the cash of it all. My day job is going to pay for everything. If that place makes money, that's great. But I want to be the person that they can know, you bring your kid here, I am going to give your kid a fighting chance at these guys who try to take them. They can wiggle, they can break away, they can yell, they can scream. And that's like, that is the whole basis of it. And I'm getting goosebumps here talking about it because it like,
yeah, no, I love it, man. I love it. And what it's like, I'm sure we've all seen it. It's like there's so much violence that goes on even in Halifax and all of Nova Scotia. But I'm sure we've all read stories before of like violence that has happened and thought, what if that person knew jujitsu? What if they were a blue belt? Would that situation have been the same? You know, would that person have been able to get away or save themselves? Like I think about that all the time. So I think, what you're doing is very admirable.
Yeah.
Trying to get jujitsu in like an area that really needs it.
Yeah.
And a lot of these young kids, they need to get involved in something, right? Like there's stats now I hear on the radio that kids are on their phones more and more all the time. They're not getting outside as much. So kids need stuff like that. They need martial arts. They need some confidence. They need to know, you know, you can use your body to like do a full body workout and you can have fun and like learn some skills at the same time. So when I heard you talk about stuff like that, it's really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I appreciate that too. Right. So, and I will say that I've locked down a space there. So, beautiful spot. I'm pretty excited about it. It's right on Prince Street, right downtown Truro. It's got a massive parking lot. Used to be one of the banks. So nice, good spot there. Didn't get gouged for rent. So perfect. I just bought, I think I'll have 54 mats all together.
Wow. Nice. So
I didn't buy them brand new. That's okay. Right. The boys, I'll give a plug out to the boys at FLA. And I was able to buy all the sub-series mats. So that was huge.
That's amazing. Man, I'm really excited for you. And shout out to FLA. They're really good guys doing amazing things for the jiu-jitsu and just the overall martial arts community. Here's an interesting question. I also asked this to judo from like a coaching perspective. Now that you're a very high level brown belt, honestly, soon to be a black belt, how would you train a clone of yourself walking into the gym as a white belt? Have the knowledge that you have today, how would you use it to train yourself as a white belt? What's the things?
Wow. Well, when I walked in the gym, it was for Muay Thai because I thought jiu-jitsu was stupid.
Yeah.
So when I got on the mats, how would I train myself? I would try and make. That's such a hard question, dude, because I would try to make myself do things slow because you can do things fast. But if you try to start doing them slow, and that's what always used to beat me, like when I was like almost a blue belt or whatever, it'd be the guy that was just like a blue belt and had a little bit more experience, the slow, methodical, because I couldn't comprehend what I was doing. I was just able to like wiggle and make it happen. Right. So I would really try to figure out a program where it's still exciting, but it made me work very, very slow.
I think for myself, I would tell myself, focus a lot on leg locks. I guess if this was at the time, I would have started at the time because not many other people were doing them, and I probably would have been able to tap out a lot of people.
Yeah. And I'd probably slap myself in the face too and be like, smarten the hell up right now.
Yeah. But I think about stuff like that all the time, and like just coaching so much and like coaching, many new white belts, what are some things to focus on and stuff like that. And I mean, people may not know or may not be aware too, but you had several MMA fights too, right? You fought some like high level cards with some guys. I was looking at fought on a card with like Cyril Gane. He was in TKO. Like that was a big promotion. Talk about some of your experiences as a fighter. You must have some big memories from that.
Yeah. So I will say I fought on a card with Cyril Gane, and we watched him, and that's when I was back at Fit Plus there, and Scott said to me, he's like, he'll be a champion in UFC. You watch. And fast forward, and it was just like he was right there knocking on the doorstep of it. And I'm sure he'll probably get there. The guys to watch he makes the ring look so small. Like those guys are so big, man. Like, and the ring just like, dude, it was crazy. And to see how big this human was in real life, he's a monster and he is nimble. So that was really cool to watch. But you know what, as a fighter, and I'm really happy that FLA is doing what they're doing right now, because they're changing the game for the people in the smaller towns. Because what used to happen was that the guys would go out. Every single fight I've ever had was short notice. I never had one camp ever. And you know, I won a lot of those fights as a amateur. I was 4-1 or something like that, 4-1, 3-1 or something like that. And then as a pro, I ended up 2-2. One was very suspect. The guy's coach came over, his old coach came over after the loss. He's like, you just got fucking ripped off, bro. And it is what it is, hometown, but very good guy. I have nothing but good stuff to say about that person. But what FLA is doing for these fighters right now is so important, because there's so many high caliber guys, just like boxing. Boxing in Nova Scotia has produced so many champions, especially North Preston. Those, like the lineage over there, man, those guys crushing it for boxing. Castile, Kirk Johnson, like there's just all kinds of really good guys that came out from that way. And what was happening specifically with the MMA stuff was the guys around here, the Maritimes, we'd get brought out short notice just to kind of be, you know, dog bait, right? So me specifically, I was always somebody, I would go out and I'd give a lot more than I think most people were kind of bargaining for. And I remember my TKO, second fight in TKO. First fight in TKO was like 3 days notice, went up, weight cut, and got caught in this silly choke by, oh my God. And Buddy's he is really good, but I got caught and I was better at jiu-jitsu than him, but he caught me in something because I thought we were just going to bang it out. Boom, took me down, caught me in the head and arm. We were dry. Nothing. I was just like, shit. Caught me really quick in the first round. So that was really shitty. But the second fight I had in TKO, Buddy thought he was coming out just to beat the shit out of me. And that was it. That was the way it was going. I don't even know why I'm there. Just put my hands down and let him beat the shit out of me. Right. And man, we went to fucking war that night. And at the end of it, he just came over and he was like, because he had watched the first fight that I had in TKO, right? And he's like, he was French. He's like, you really evolved your game. Is very good. And you know what, man? Met up with him afterwards. Great guy. Had a bunch of his biker friends around, like all wearing their jackets. I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. Right. About to, get a win and get shit pumped for it. But went out, met up with him afterwards, had a drink. And that was really good. But, it's kind of funny. I don't like night times. And I think that I would like fighting more if it was in the daytime. Right. I've got a big problem with night times there, just from.
Dude, I feel the same way. If all my big competition matches were at 6:30 in the morning, I'd feel like I'd be like undefeated.
I'd be fucking champion. I'd be like, up at 4:30. All right, cool. Here we go. Get on, do my thing. But not to get too far off of it. Yeah. MMA was great because it was all part of the evolution there too, right? But to anybody that's in MMA, don't think that just continuously cutting more weight is the thing to do. I got and jiu-jitsu too.
Yeah.
Man, there's a certain point, man. Like if you have somebody asking you like, are you okay? Dude, you should just take a step back. Like just because you can't tell. You can't look at yourself at that point and be like, man, I look like a fucking skeleton.
Fight at
But
the weight you're comfortable at. I mean, within like 5 pounds, step on the scale today.
yeah,
If you're 185 and the division's 180, okay,
yeah,
do it. But if you're 185 and the division's 170, it's not going to be that easy to make. You can't do that in 2 weeks easily, especially if you've never done it before. You don't have any experience. You don't really have any professionals guiding you. Like, I feel like some people, they go through this crazy weight cut and then they get on the scale. They almost forget that they actually have to compete. They're just like, oh, thank God I made the weight. It's like that the battle's over.
yeah.
It's like, now you actually got to go fight, right?
Well, jujitsu's the same day, right?
It's just the same day.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like 15 pounds for like MMA, that'd be different. But yeah, like jujitsu, there's no way.
Yeah.
No
Some
way,
people
man.
really overthink. Like, they really should just stay a little bit more comfortable at the weight that they're at. I think that's good advice. Less weight cutting and just more focusing on technique. You need energy, like if you think you can clean up your diet, yeah, of course, go for it. But
Sure.
you also need energy to do the training. You should be focusing on training hard.
Dude, there's a metric between longevity and grip strength. And innately, when you're losing weight and you're, reducing your muscle mass, you're losing grip strength. You're losing the ability to explode. That's got to say something, right? Like you're taking your muscle mass off.
I know you saw some ADCC, but I don't know if you watched Gary Tonin. He lost his first match and it was quite a big upset.
Yep.
But he had cut a lot of weight, and I think that dramatically affected his performance. He's usually fighting at 170. And again, these are same day weigh-ins, and these guys actually have to weigh in the first day, the second day, and then so it's 2 weigh-ins. So they really have to be basically the weight that they are. So he's normally 170. He fights MMA, I think, at 145, but he lost enough weight that he weighed in at 145 for ADCC. And I noticed he just wasn't the same guy. Like, I mean, everyone has their off days, but I couldn't help but think, like, he just cut too much weight. Like, it's too, it affected his performance.
Have you ever tried like cutting have you ever cut too much weight or just like dropped too much, like even in muscle mass, not just like water? Have you ever done that?
I've cut like to below 150. Not recently. Like, this probably would have been like even like 2017, like 5 years ago. But I feel the same way. Like, it just takes too much Eddie. Like, I feel like I need the strength. I'd rather go against someone that's a little bit bigger and stronger, but I have full energy rather than like, hey, I dieted and I'm weak and frail and I got to just try to end the match quick. It's having gone through it a lot. And for a while I competed at featherweight when my first few years of competing. That was under 154. Then I went up a weight class to lightweight, which was under 167. And to me, like, I mean, I started jiu-jitsu when I was 17 years old. My body changed a bit. I was getting into lifting weights and trying to be a bit more jacked and stuff and stronger. So I just felt like, well, I don't want to just try to keep cutting weight. I feel like I'm, for one, not enjoying the training as much. And like we were saying, you want to enjoy it. Like, that's a big part of it. You want to like it. And it just got to a point where I was like, I just feel better at lightweight. If I have to go against someone bigger and stronger, so what? It's jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, well, you're bigger and stronger than too. And I will say that there's almost like you can feel this drain. It's almost like a fog in your brain when you get too light. Like, you're just like kind of walking around in a bit of a haze there. And you're like, your levels got to be all off. Like, your electrolytes, your fucking hormones, everything. Like, it's got to be, of course, bro, everything's got to be off at that point. So you're not even like, how can you be in the zone? You feel like you're zoned the fuck out.
Exactly.
So like, you're just like walking around, like, just like you don't even know what to. So yeah, I would, that would be something that I would definitely make sure. And I'll say that to because there's going to be people that I train that do want to compete, and I will have a comp type of program and stuff like that eventually. It's not the goal right now, but let's be serious, it'll happen.
Yeah,
of course. I'm not, if someone's like, I want to compete, I'm not gonna be like, I'm not fucking training. Yeah, right. Like, of course,
as you have students, they're gonna want to compete.
Yeah, so I will make sure, and I'll give them my experience. Tell them, listen, man, like it's a tough game, and well, people don't give it enough credit. Like, you can do some serious damage
Yeah.
You know, you're more susceptible to concussions. Doing the weight cut. If you go too much, man, I'm not like, not to try and scare people too much or be like too woohoo, but you could physically pass away if you do too much. Like, this is a thing.
Yeah.
So you got to be super careful there for sure.
And you have so much experience now in jiu-jitsu, and that MMA experience is so great too. It's going to make you such an amazing coach. And last question, I just thought of this with MMA. What would you say is the toughest part of the actual fight? Like, obviously the training is hard, right? But is it like the crowd? Is it like, what is it? What did you find? Like the night, is it the weight cut, the emotions of it? What did you find like fight night is the toughest part for you, like about the fight?
I would say the toughest part is walking into the ring and then just kind of like, especially where I was always in the enemy territory. So I was always the first guy out.
Yeah.
So your song came on. Most of the time they fucked up my song. Most of the time they fucked it up. I will say that. I think if they played the right song one time, and that was the one that I got ripped off. But I would say the hardest part, man, is when you're standing there, you're in enemy territory, and your song finishes, his song's playing, and you're just like, because it's just like, okay. Like it's a weird moment. You're about to fight this person in front of everybody in your underwear and hope that you don't get knocked the fuck out. You know, and it's live. It's on UFC Fight Pass. It's everybody's watching on Facebook and all this stuff. Like there's no hiding it anymore, right? You can't be like, yeah, man, me and Tom, we fought behind Sobeys there. He said he knocked Joe. No, I knocked him out. Right. Like there's no way around it. Like, it's just, this is live. I think it was Eminem that said this, like live is the most finite, like that's it. Like there's nothing else.
You're so vulnerable in that moment.
You make one mistake, it's capitalized on. You can get seriously hurt. So that moment before he calls you to the ring or to the center, before that moment, you're sitting there and it's just like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, no, I love it, man. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I love it. I feel like you're someone I could talk to about jiu-jitsu and martial arts for hours and hours. Sure. I'm going to try to keep these somewhat short and sweet, but I just like to finish up with some random questions, some about jiu-jitsu, some just show some about your personality. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
When you were growing up, did you have a favorite athlete or someone that you admired in sports?
Yeah, I liked Michael Jordan, and yeah, I was a big basketball player. I was 4'11" until grade 10. But I loved playing basketball. I just never made the team. So, but I loved Michael Jordan, man.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What's your favorite TV show?
Wow. I don't watch TV shows anymore. Because I am an addict. Okay. And this is it. I can't stop watching the TV show. So I only watch movies. Favorite TV show. Sheesh, man. I don't even know, dude. I might have to pass on that. Like, I don't even have one.
We can just skip it. It's all
We'll have to skip that one, bro. Pass up. I'm going to, I'll call a friend.
This one. I'm interested in this one. Who have you rolled with the most in your jiu-jitsu career?
Huh. It's got to be. Wow. These are good questions, man. These are good questions, bro. So it's got to be someone from Fit Plus. I've rolled with TJ a lot since he's had his spot. Alex Owens. Me and Kyle Blinkhorn have rolled a lot. Jesus Christ. Who would I have rolled with the most? Somebody over at Fit Plus. That's for sure. Before I went my own separate way there.
Okay, so maybe
Yeah.
one of the guys that you mentioned. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Who's your all-time favorite fighter?
My all-time favorite fighter, guys, like everybody's gonna be like, on that bandwagon. Man, I like Conor McGregor. I don't care, right? Like that. You know what? Just because, like, hey, I'm Irish too, but I know he's a bit of a twat, but like I like his fighting style. Back when he was like on pinnacle, like at the top of his game, I liked his fighting style. I never liked the attitude, the persona, and it's actually something that gave me a lot of anxiety towards fighting, which was the reason why I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. What's the last technique that you taught in a class?
Okay, so I can do that. And you know what? It was an escape from, I did actually a little sequence. So break the guard, stand up, pass. Then the person who is had their guard passed, he is so you can, you kind of go knee to elbow, arm underneath. But I took a little tweak that I seen from Gordon Ryan. And so this arm that's underneath of their chin, this is hilarious. This arm that's underneath of their chin, you come up, you gable grip it, and then your foot that you're going to have almost like a knee shield almost there. Take your other foot that's lazy, you push with both your feet, push with your arm, and it really breaks the grip there. That was a really good one that I enjoyed there. So I don't really know what the move would be called. I just know the sequence.
It's like a guard pass sequence to that's cool. What was it? You mentioned watching something that I did, and you said you taught something like that. I'm interested. What was that?
The arm drag. So you were doing arm drag, and then you know what? I actually was watching. So you did the arm drag, but then you did 2-on-1, and you flipped him to the back.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure that out, and I was like, it was just one of those things. My brain couldn't compute what you were doing right there, and I was like, well, I'm not going to end up teaching that today. So
store it for later. Yeah, I have those.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned you like movies. Give us some of your favorite movies.
Okay. I really like Lord of War with Nicolas Cage in there. Yeah, that's a classic for me for sure, man. Anything with Will Smith in it. Will Smith, like, I've read his book. I get it. He slapped Buddy in the face. If you read his book, you totally understand why. But anything with Will Smith in it, 100%. And my favorite movie, though, there's got to be something with it. It's definitely something with Will Smith for sure. I just can't think of it right now. Well, let's just say give an actor, Will Smith.
Yeah. I love it. What about this one? What do you usually eat for breakfast?
Breakfast, bacon and eggs.
Nice.
I crush that, man. Like I love it. And what's that tea there that I get now? The mud water. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. I love it. Yeah. I love it. Last question. If you're setting the round timer and me and you are rolling, how long's the round? How long are the rounds that we're doing?
If me and you are rolling, you know what? I'm getting in good shape again. I want to go fucking 10 minutes, right?
I knew you would. I knew you would. Oh, I got to say too, because I made a note of this, just this interesting story when I was thinking about just, our friendship and stuff. So my son will be 9 months, crazy, in a couple days here. And actually, me and Brad trained together the day that my son was born. It was in January 30th. There's this crazy snowstorm. At this point, I was still teaching in town.
Yep.
I wasn't just fully at my own place, but I was doing some privates and some open mats, right? And there's snow coming down like crazy. I get a message from Brad. Hey, bro, are you training today? I look outside. I'm like, a message like, if you can make it,
your house at your house. Yeah.
I was like, if you can make it here. So he's like, I'll be there at 12:30. So he shows up. Steve Benson was there as well. It was just the three of us rolling, going at it. We had a great training session. I remember we had to push your car or Benson's car up the road. We were getting stuck in the snow.
Yeah.
It just made me think, like, man, jiu-jitsu guys, they just don't care if it's snowing, if it's raining, whatever's going on. It's just like, well, I mean, as long as we can roll, then it's a good day, right? And I'll remember that we had that training session, and then it was like, I mean, hours later, little did I know, my life is about to change forever for the better. So it was an amazing story to me.
So let's just add this: that Steve's truck gets stuck more than that SUV. Did it not?
True. That's true.
Steve, when you watch this, I love you, mate. All right. Now, Steve, great dude, man. Great training partner too, man. So really like training with that guy. But next time that I'm rolling past, and this is the thing that I've been going into town on some Fridays. So I'm not sure. What's your early class on like a Friday?
I do morning classes, 6:15. 6:15.
Okay. 6:15. Yeah. Okay. So I was thinking like, not like early, like early in the evening type of thing there. Cause I usually don't leave my house until probably after the kids go to school now, to go in town to see people on Fridays. Okay. But I'll hit you up after this. We'll just sit here, babble like a couple old ladies now. But
we'll work it out.
Man, work it out. I definitely want to get some rolls in there, and just see what you've been working on.
Amazing, man. I can't wait to train with you again. I love it. We got to train recently at Gavin's gym, Tower One. It was great. Yeah. Just wrapping up, Brad, tell people where they can find more out about you, where they can get a hold of you, and anything you'd like to shout out.
Okay. So you can check me on my podcast, where I had the wonderful Josh Presley on there too. So go check out his episode, because that was fantastic. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, but not on my end. That was on Josh's end. I just want to put that.
That's true.
No. So my podcast is called I'm Still Standing. And basically that goes, everything in my life is based around protecting or helping people trying to figure out that if you were lost, that you can still find your way back and be successful. Okay. I'm living proof of that. I'm somebody that went from being a little thug running the streets, carrying a gun, went to a maximum security prison, got out, and today I'm doing good. I'm an insurance broker, licensed with the province, going for a full pardon, right? So that's a big part of it. You can check me on my Instagram at the real Bradley Sullivan, and jiu-jitsu gym opening up soon. Location will be out there. I just don't know what it actually is. It was the old RBC building on Prince Street in Truro. So other than that, hey, catch me in the funny pages, right?
Amazing, man. I can't wait to see how your gym turns out. I love having you in the jiu-jitsu community, just as a peer. I love talking to you. I'm always fired up to talk about jiu-jitsu and business and stuff that we have going on. So yeah, I really appreciate you, man, and having you as a friend and having you as a peer. And it's awesome to talk with you. So I definitely love to have you on again in the future. Sure. I can't wait to check out your gym. I can't wait to have you here. So yeah, I think this episode is going to be amazing. So I really appreciate the time, Brad. Thanks a lot, and make sure you have a great night. I can't wait to see you again on the mats.
Cool. See you later, everybody. Peace.
Take care.